You were in the Gemara in Taanis Daf Yud Zayin. It was requested that these should be done in under half an hour for each daf. We're going to start from Yud Zayin with Aleph, second line, Ala Rishoina, Hu Oimer Misha Ones Avram. On the first one, you would say the one who answered Avram. Tana, we have a brayso, Yesh Machlifin Sa'aka Liyahu V'Tfil Lishmuel. Some switch when it comes to Sa'aka, which is shouting out to Eliyahu, and Tfila, praying, that has to do with Shmuel. Rashi explains that Sa'akal Eliyahu means someone who answered Eliyahu. He concludes with Shemeh Sa'aka, and Shmuel, the conclusion of that bracha will be Shemeh Tefillah. Where it says Bishlei Megam Shmuel Ksib Beit Tefillah V'Ksib Beit Sa'aka. It's good by Shmuel because it says Tefillah, and it also says Sa'aka, which is shouting out Eliyahu Tefillah Ksiv Sa'aka Lo Ksiv Baba Eliyahu. It only says Tefillah. It doesn't say Sa'aka. Aninu Hashem Aninu. It's a pasuk. Answer me, Hashem. Answer me. Lashon Sa'akahi. That is a terminology of yelling out. That pasuk is by the whole episode with Har Carmel. Beautiful episode. One day we'll get to it in Nachem. It's Hashem. Gemara continues. Ala shishes huoim mishones yoino. Ala shvius huoim mishones. David on the sixth one, he would say the sixth of the fast. You say the one who answered Yoino. And the seventh, he would say the one who answered David. So the obvious question is, Yonah came before David. So why is Yonah mentioned first? Good question. That's the Gemara's question. Michti Yonah Basar David v'Shlomo Havi. Let's see. Yonah came after David and Shlomo. My time on Makdim Le'Bereshel. What's the reason that it comes first? My answer is Mishum Deba'i Lemechtom Baruch Samed Merachim El Aretz. Because the conclusion is, blessed are you that has mercy on the land. And as Rashi explains, that David was involved with the land and the base of Mikdash, and therefore, that's why they're going to be in this order. Tana Mishum Sumchus, it was said in the name of Sumchus. Amnu Baruch Mashpil Hadramim, blessed the one who lowers the ones who are high. That's the idea over here, so that's why this is going to be the order. First three fast, the Anshi Mishmar, they're going to fast and they're not going to make it up to her, but we have a brisa. Why is it that the Anshi Mishmar are going to be permitted to drink wine at night, but not during the day? Because the avoda serving in the base of Mikdash on the base of will perhaps become difficult and they will come to assist the base of. So they have to be sober in order to do the avodah. Why do they say that Anshi Besav cannot be done during the day nor at night? They can drink because they are constantly involved with the avodah, with the service in the base of Mikdash. Mikan Amru, from here they said, Kol Kohen Shemakir Mishmar, also any Kohen who recognizes his guard, which means he knows when exactly he's going to be serving, as Rashi explains over here. So then, Kol Kohen Shemakir Mishmar Marash Beisav, or he recognizes that when the smaller group's going to be serving Shaloi, his smaller group, V'yodeh, and he's going to know, Shabati Avoisav Kivuyin Sham, that he knows that the base of that when they're going to be serving, when they're going to be established, he's going to know when his turn is. Also, it's prohibited for him to drink the entire day. He's got to be ready to do the service. If he recognizes when he's going to be serving, but doesn't know the exact base of that he's going to be involved with, and he knows that they're going to be set, so then he can't drink wine that entire week. He's got to be ready. If he doesn't know when he's going to be serving and the mishmara for his beisav, but he's going to know when Bati Avoisav will be established over there. Also, you can't drink the entire year. The idea is whatever you don't know, you have to be careful because you could be on call. Rebbe says, Oimer Ani, I say, if you have a Kohen, also Lishto Yisayin Lolam. Kohen's never allowed to drink wine. Avama said, but what could we do? Shetakanosoi kolkoloso. The mess up caused it to get fixed. In other words, because we don't have a base of Mikdash anymore and they don't need to serve in the base of Mikdash, so therefore this isn't a problem anymore and therefore it's permissible for them to drink. Amar Abaye keman shosu idna kohani chamra. Who does it go like? The Kohanim that drink wine nowadays, Rebbe. It goes in accordance with this opinion of Rebbe. Anshi Mishmar Vanshi Maimon Asudun L'Sapel L'Kabes V'cham Mishi Mutar Nebnei Kavra Shabbos. The Anshe Mishmar and Ma'imad are prohibited to get a haircut, launder their clothing. However, on Thursday it's permissible in honor of Shabbos. My taima, what's the reasoning? Amar Rabba Bar Bar Chana, Rabba, the son of Chana, aka the grandson of Chana, said, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Kedei shel yikansu lemishmaroisim kishehin minuvalin. It's an order that they do not enter in to their mishmar, to the Beis Hamikdash, when they are disgusting. In other words, if they're not going to get a haircut, so then they're all going to be unkempt and their hair won't be nice, and then that's going to be a problem. Tana Rabbanon, we have a brayse, Melech mistaper bekol yom, kohen gadol ne'erev Shabbos, kohen hedger echel l'shloshim yom. A king has to get a haircut every single day. A kohen gadol has to get a haircut once a week on the eve of Shabbos, and a regular kohen once every 30 days. Melech mistaper bekol yom, my time, what's the reasoning? King gets a haircut every single day. Amar Rabbi Abba bar Zavda. Rabbi Abba, the son of Zavda, said, Amar Kral, the pasuk says, Melech b'yafyav techazen einecha. He's got to be... He's got to look good, a king. Kohen Gadol Erev Shabbos Hamash my time. Oh, why does the Kohen Gadol only get a haircut once a week on Erev Shabbos? So since the time when he's going to serve is constantly getting new, so therefore he's got to be ready every single week. Rashi explains it's a mitzvah for them to get haircuts at this time. They've got to dress accordingly. Be ready accordingly. Kohen hedgerach l'sholishim yom alam. A regular kohen once every 30 days had. You know, asya para minazir gezeir shava. It says pera by a nazir, and we're going to learn it out over here. Ksiv hachot says over here v'roishim lo yigalchu ligalechu pera lo yishalchu. It says over here that your head you shouldn't shave, and your hair pera you shouldn't send forth. Aka you let it grow wild. Ksiv hasman it says over there by nazir kodesh yeh gadol pera aser roisha, that he shall be holy and he's going to grow his hair. Malahalan shloishim, avkan shloishim, just like over there is 30. So to over here is 30, once every 30 days. How do you know that a Nazir himself is once every 30 days? Amar of Masnos, stam naziros shloishim yom. Masnos says that your average naziros is once every 30 days. Minalan, how do you know? Amar kar yiyeh b'gematria tolten havi. The pasuk says yiyeh, the gematria of yiyeh is 30. So that's how you know that stam nazir shloishim yom, that your nazirus is going to be for a duration of 30 days. I asked the Gemara, Amar Levi, Papa Le'abai v'dom chikram amana. Excuse me, maybe this is what the Torah is saying. Lo lirvu klal, don't grow your hair at all. Rather, you should just let it grow. Rashi explains. Amar Le, no, if you would have just, if the pasuk would have said lo yishalchu par, yes, it would have been like what you said. Now the pasuk says par lo yishalchu. Then you shouldn't send it forth, don't cut it. Para lahavi shluchi hu de lo lishluchi. So then your hair, you should have it, but you shouldn't cut it over there. That's the idea. Rashi over here explains that you're not allowed to, what it means over here is you're not allowed to cause it to grow anymore. That's the idea. Para lahavi. You can't cut it off. You gotta let the hair go. If that's all, even nowadays, haircut shouldn't be allowed. This is similar to drinking wine. Just like when it comes to the prohibition of drinking wine, that's only when the Beis Hamikdash was around. It was prohibited. However, if the Beis Hamikdash wasn't around, it was permissible. So too over here with the hair. But we have a brayso. Wait a second. Rebbe says, Rebbe says that Kohanim, they're never allowed to drink wine. But what can we do? Because the mess up is now going to fix it. Like we said, we don't have the Beis Hamikdash from Rabbi. And regarding this, Rabbi says, come on, Chosid, no, Kohanim, like we saw before. Well, how are the Kohanim drinking wine nowadays? Who is that going like? Kerebi, it's going like Kerebi, like we saw before. Mechal d'Rabbanan Asiri. It's implied from here that the rabbis prohibit it, even when the Beis Hamikdash isn't around. My time, what's the reason? We don't coin What's the reasoning? The reasoning is because the Beis Hamikdash will get rebuilt speedily, and we're going to need Kohanim who are fitting to serve, and we're not going to have them. They have to be ready. So Ubin and Kohani. So then, so too over here, the same would apply over here. My answer is Hacha'efshar de mistaper v'ayil. No, over here, it's possible with the haircuts, you could just get a haircut and then go right into the base of Mikdash. That's why they didn't decree, Rashi explains. Navi's question is, Yachi Shosin Yayinami, if you're going to pour the vial. If that's so also with the drinking wine, it's possible you could sleep a little bit and then go in. You'll sober up after you sleep. Like Rabbi the son of like Rami the son of Abba says, I'm Rabbi Bar Abba because he says, if you walk around the mile and you sleep just a little, that will help undo the effects of the person being drunk from the ayin. Gemara answers, Lav Tamar law. Did you not see the statement that was said about that? Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Bar Avu said in the name of Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman said in the name of Rabba, the son of Avu, Loishan Relikish also Shir Ravius. It's only talking about if you drank the amount of the Ravius. Aval Shosa Yos Min Ravius Kol Shkin Shederech Matri Doso Veshina Mish Shachraso. However, if you drank more than a Ravius, so then certainly when you walk on the way that will burden you when you sleep, that will cause you to get intoxicated. Revius is machlekes according to Chaim Noeh, it's 2.9 fluid ounces. According to the Chazon Ish, it's 5.1 fluid ounces. According to Chaim Noeh, it's around two small shot glasses, the plastic ones, it's around two of them. Ravashi Amad, Ravashi says Shasu Yayin. The difference between drinking and haircuts is Shasu Yayin, the Mechal Avoida Gazru Banan. Specifically, drinking, when it comes to drinking the wine, you're going to desecrate the service in the base of Mikdash. The rabbis decreed on that, unlike the haircut. So you have two answers. Number one, the haircut, you could quickly get one, unlike the wine. Or it's not going to be a desecration of the avoda, of the service in the base of Mikdash, which is actually easily understandable. It's a very logical response. Gemara continues. And there it is. However, when it comes to the haircut, if your hair wasn't cut, that would not desecrate the service in the base of Mikdash. They did not agree on that. We have an attacking statement. The following person is liable for death if he was intoxicated or if his hair was grown. He's talking about death from heaven. Where it says, we understand it's good when it comes to drinking the wine. It's written explicitly that you shouldn't drink wine and beer. Rather, your head being exposed, how do we know? The pasuk says, because it says over there that your head you shouldn't shave and your hair you shouldn't send forth to and it says after V'yayin Yishtu Kol Koyin B'boyim El Chotzer HaPnimis, that the wine you shouldn't drink any kohen who's coming in the inner courtyard. We're connecting the hair to the wine. Just like when it comes to being drunk, it's a person is liable for death. So too when it comes to the hair that is exposed, liable for death. We can infer from there. You could ask a question. If you're drinking wine, it's considered desecration of the service in the base of Mikdash. So too with your head. If you didn't have a haircut, it could be a desecration to the avodah. Some of the texts in this Gemara are kasha, which means that this is, in fact, a question. And then there's another parenthesis that says, "Lo ki iskush lamisahu deiskush lavalech liavod liskush," which was only attached to being liable to die, but not that it would be considered a desecration of the service in the base of Mikdash. Ravina told Ravashi, but before Yecheskel came, who came along and said this? Amarle. So Rav Ashi responded to Ravina v'Taimech according to your reasoning. That which Rav Chizda said, we didn't learn this from the Torah of Moshe, but we learned it from Navi. Anyone who is uncircumcised, he's not allowed to come in the base of Mikdash. Remember before Yecheskel came, who said this? Rather, we have a tradition. We have a tradition that this was the law. Yecheskel came and then based it on the pasuk. So to over here, we have a tradition. And then Yecheskel came and based it on the pasuk. But that tradition only extended to being liable to die, not on desecrating the avoda. As Rashi explains. Anything that's written in Megillas Taanis that you're not allowed to eulogize beforehand will be prohibited, but afterwards will be permissible. Tanu Rabbanon, we have a brayso. Eilen yoim in Deloyle Hisana behind the following days, you're not allowed to fast on Umixasa and Deloyle Mispad behind, and some of them you're not allowed to eulogize on. Mereish Yar Chod Nisan from Rosh Chodesh Nisan Va'ad Timnei Bey until the 8th of Nisan. What happened? Itukum Tamid Deloyle Mispad Bahon. It was established the Korban Tamid that, and therefore you're not allowed to eulogize on it. This is talking about, as Rashi explains over here in Dibra Maskum Reish, Shahiu Sedukim Oimrim Yochad Misnadiv Umevi Tamid. The Sedukim, the heretics, the people who didn't believe in the oral Torah, the Torah Shabbal Peh, which is what we're learning now, they would say that an individual could volunteer and bring the Korban Tamid by oneself. My Drush, where do they learn this from? What's their Josh? It's like Maya Hodru, what was the response to them? It says this Korbani Lachmi Lishai Tishmiru Lachriv. You shall guard. It's in the plural tense. Lashon Rabbi Mushi Yakulun Ba'im Mitrumas Alashka. No, it has to be only public. And we ended up being victorious, and therefore we have this way of celebrating it, so to say. No eulogies. Mitimna Beyad Soif Mayado, from the 8th of Nisan until the end of the Moyed, the Yontif of Pesach. Then we establish the Yom Tov, the holiday of Shavuos, the Lula Mispad Bahon. You're not allowed to eulogize on that. The idea over here is the next Rashi explains that by Toisim would say that Shavuos is always going to be on Sunday no matter what. We came along and said that no, it's not going to be. Sfartim Lachem Marcha Shabbos, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai dealt with them. And we were victorious, and it's 50 days after the first day of Pesach. Amar Mar. We just said, talking to me the loneliness behind. We said that from the Rosh Chodesh Nisan until the 8th of Nisan, it was established the Korban Tamid, and therefore that it can only be done publicly, and therefore with a lot of people, and therefore not individual, and therefore you don't eulogize. Then why does it need to state that it's from Rosh Chodesh? Why don't you say from the 2nd of Nisan? And Rosh Chodesh itself, we would know that it's a Yom Tif, and it's prohibited. Why do you need to say the 1st of Nisan? And it says the Gemara, we only needed to prohibit the day before. Even the day before is going to be a problem. The obvious question is, typically the day before, so then just say it's a problem because it's the day before Rosh Chodesh Nisan, so it's going to be prohibited regardless. Answers the Gemara, fascinating answer. Rosh Chodesh itself is from the Torah. And so when something is from the Torah, it doesn't need chizik, it doesn't need strengthening. How do we know? Did Tanya, so therefore we wouldn't have known the day before. That's why we needed to say from the Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Titania, because we have a brayso in Maseches Rosh Hashanah and Yud Tes. This is brought also Yahayamim Ha'ilu Haksuvim Megillas Taanis Lifneim V'La'achrayim Asudim. These days that are written in the Megillas Taanis before and after are prohibited. Shabbalsos v'Yamim Tovim Hein Asudim Lifneihem V'La'achrayim Mutarim. When it comes to Shabbos and Yontif, they themselves are prohibited. Not allowed to fast. However, beforehand and afterwards will be permissible. What's the difference between the two? These are divrei Torah, and divrei Torah doesn't need a strengthening, unlike these which are rabbinic in nature, and therefore if it's divrei sofrim, if it's derabbanan, if it's rabbinic, then it needs strengthening, it needs chazak. Stop here, continue next time.